Okay. So we'll start with the Project Management Basics webinar. So here we'll be seeing on the basics on project management, a little bit basics on program and portfolio management and the relationship that has with the project program and the portfolio. And then we'll see about the different project and development life cycles. And then we'll end up with the seeing the basics of the domains and the principles. Okay. See about project. So what is a project? So anything that you do, so bridge construction, so anything that any event that you conduct, so that you call it as a project. So what is a project? So project is a temporary endeavor, so which has a beginning and an end, and which creates a unique product, service, or a result. So what does this temporary mean? So any project, if you take, so it can be of 1 day duration, or the project can be of 3 years or 5 years duration. But each and every project that will be having a definite start and a definite end. Okay, so the project is a short term, so it is called as temporary, and which has a definite beginning and a definite end. So, and also if you see, so the projects are unique and which gives the products or a service or a result. So unique means that each and every project what you do, so some uniqueness will be there. So uniqueness in the design, or uniqueness in the environment, or uniqueness in the location. So that shows the uniqueness of the product. So if you see the various examples of projects, so it can be a road construction project or a bridge construction project, IT projects, so software development, app development, mobile app development, event projects, so any events that you're conducting, so that you're planning and executing that, so that comes under the event projects. In process improvements, new product development. So not only this, so various other examples also you can take. So launching of a rocket, a satellite. So those things also can be taken as a project. We'll see how the projects and operations differ. So if you see projects, so projects are unique and temporary, whereas operations, so those are ongoing and repetitive. So projects already we saw. So what is a project? So operations are which are ongoing and repetitive. So the same type of work when you are continuously doing, so those are called as operations. So most of the maintenance type of activity, shutdown related work, so those will come under the operations. So what are the common factors between the projects and the operations? So both projects and operations are performed by people. So we need people to do projects or operations. And both are constrained by limitations. So you have the limitations of resources, materials, cost. So all these constraints, both the projects as well as the operations has got. And planned, executed, and controlled. So both projects you need to plan, operations you need to plan. So what you're going to do. So those steps that you need to prepare. So those are planned, and based on the plan, you'll be executing the project or executing the operations. So what type of operations that you're doing. And simultaneously, you will do the controlling part also. So that so from the planning, what about the steps that you're taking, so that you need to control the execution, what you're doing. So whether it is running according to my plan. So those things that you'll be finding out, and you'll be controlling that. Okay, so these are the common factors between the projects and operations. So it's performed by people, and both have the constraints and limitations, and both are planned, executed, and controlled. So we saw about project and operations, and then come to see about project management. So what is project management? So project management is nothing but the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities to meet the project requirements. So knowledge is something what we gain by learning or by experience. So by doing some works, so that you will learn something, so that gives you the knowledge. And by gaining the knowledge, you will be performing. So performing those type of activities, so that comes the skill. So by gaining the knowledge, you perform and you get the skill. And while performing that, you use various tools and techniques. There are the different methods and mechanisms that you can use, the latest technologies or those things that you will use to perform those project activities. So you will apply that knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to the activities in a project, because the project comprises of various different activities, and activities will have various subtasks also. So you will apply those things to the project activities to meet the project requirements. So what the customer has given, so those project requirements you are going to meet by applying all these things. And in this, we are just going to meet the requirements, and we are not going to meet any of the expectation of the customer. So you are not going to do any goal plating, because so the expectations, once you start doing it, so that be increasing day by day. So this is called as the triple constraint of the project triangle. So where the scope, time, cost are interrelated. So the scope, when it is changed, the time gets changed, and when the time changes, the cost changes. So in certain cases, if the time changes, so based on that, the scope also need to be modified, and the cost also will change. So in project management, to manage a project, so what are the main highlights? So what are the main things that you need? So you need to identify the requirements. That is, what are the different requirements that the customer has given. So the step-by-step requirement, the clear scope. So all these things that you need to identify and prepare for that. And then basically you understand the need, concerns, and expectation of the stakeholders. So the stakeholders are very much important for the project. So it may be any team member that is involved in the project, any higher official that is involved in the project, external procurement, or the contractor who is involved in the project, or the customer. So everyone is called as a stakeholder. So you identify everyone's needs, concerns, and expectation, and try to achieve that. Okay, and then you do a proper collaboration and communication between the team members. So who needs what information? So correctly you give all the informations, and you create a collaborative communication mechanism, so everyone will be able to get all the informations whenever it is needed. And then you identify the project constraints. So you can identify project constraints, whether you have resource constraint or a material constraint, equipment constraint, or any other environment constraint or any political constraints. So all these things you identify, and how to manage the risk, how to mitigate the risk, and how you can balance the each and every constraint during each and every phases of the project. So all these things that you will be identifying. So these are some points, not the full set. So major points that for managing a project, so that you need to consider. So we saw about what is a project, project and operations, and project management, and the high level information on managing the project. And we'll see a little bit about the program and program management. So program is nothing but so how you're managing the different related projects in a coordinated way, so that benefits can be controlled in a better way. So that is the program. So program management is nothing but it focuses on the interdependencies of the projects. So one project, so which is related. So after one particular project, so you're going to start the next project. So you identify where the interdependencies are there. So after the phase one, you may be starting the next project, or after phase two, you may be starting another project. So where the dependencies are there, or in one project you'll be capturing the procurement information. Another project you'll be doing the construction work. So there, how the interrelationship dependencies are there, so that you'll be identifying and managing in a better way. So the program objectives are met and achieved to manage the project and the program. Then about the portfolio. So portfolio is nothing but a collection of projects, programs, and the other works. Okay. So which are grouped to facilitate the effective management of the work to achieve the strategy business objectives. So the business gives various different objectives. So you do the projects, programs, and other work. So you can achieve the business objectives of the portfolio. Portfolio management is nothing but it's an approach centralized management of collection of programs, portfolios. So so that it is easy for you to achieve the organizational goals. So you collect all the informations like programs, portfolios, and other works in a centralized environment. So it will be easy for you to track and identify how best you are achieving the organization goals. This portfolio management. You will see a little bit relationship between the portfolio, program, and the project. So at the top level, you see the enterprise, that is the organization level. So organizations will have various different portfolios, and each portfolio will have programs, or it can have a sub-portfolio and program. And the sub-portfolios may be broken down into programs, and programs will be further broken down into projects. And in some cases, projects will be further broken down into sub-project. Yes. A small example. So the infrastructure related organization. So so two cases we have taken, two portfolios we have taken. That is the roadways is one portfolio, and railways is another portfolio they have. And under roadways, if you see, there are two programs that they have. One is the bridges program, and another one is a flyover program. And under the bridges program, they have the various bridge construction work that they are doing. So that individual bridge construction, they are taking as a project. Okay. And same for flyover. So individual flyover construction, each flyover is taken as a project. Now, if you see about the railways, so railways has a portfolio. So the program, what you have, the southern region is one program, northern region is another program. And under that, there are two sub portfolios, which are metro and suburban. So in the sub portfolio, if you see, the breakdown has come as program, that is city 1 program, city 2 program, and that further broken down into metro line 1, that is one project, metro line 2, that is another project, metro line 3, another project. And below the metro 1 project, you have sub projects of line 1, line 2, those things. Okay. So this is a small example of how the portfolio, program, project, and sub projects are related and how it is managed better. Okay. Same thing in some different angles if you see. So organizations will have a vision. So what vision that we need to achieve? They will have a mission statement, and the strategic objectives. So what are the different strategies that they follow so that the competitors segment so that they can achieve better. So the organizations will have the portfolio, so different portfolios, and the portfolios will be further broken down into sub-portfolio or projects or programs and other works. And the programs are further broken down into projects or sub-programs, and the projects are broken down into sub-projects. So if you see at the organization level, so that is the main strategy level, so where you decide on the various different strategies and how to go about with achieving the strategic objectives that is defined, so that you'll be identifying. Whereas in the portfolio level, so that measures the benefits that you are getting. So through the projects or the programs, what are the different benefits that you're getting? So that you'll be identifying in the benefits level. And the final level is called the delivery level. So where the projects, programs, and sub-projects are managed, and you're getting the delivery out of those projects, programs, and sub-projects. So you'll be able to measure the delivery of the projects. Now we'll see a little bit about the project and the development life cycle. So in the first is the predictive life cycle or the fully plan driven life cycle. So in IT, they call it as the waterfall model. So in this one, so we define the scope, time, and cost. So which are clearly defined at the initial stages of the project, and you come do the analyze, design, build, test, and deliver the project. So you will achieve the outcome at the end of the project only. Okay. And the iterative life cycle, so here the scope is defined in the early stages, but the time and cost estimates are routinely modified. So you do analysis and then you do analysis and design and get the prototype. And after the prototype, you do another build and test and you refine the things and you deliver it. And the next stage, what you're going to do, so the time and cost estimates will be modified based on what you studied while developing the prototype and refining. So in the incremental life cycle, so in that incremental life cycle, that is the deliverable is produced through a series of iterations. So a series of iterations, which mainly successfully adds the functionality. So in analyze, design, and build test, so that is one iteration. So in that one iteration, you um, give various different features. Like you give output of 4 or 5 features. So that will give one functionality for the user. And after that, you go for another thing. So the first iteration will be 3 months, and the second iteration may be 1 month or something. So there you are adding another 2 features, and that will add some more functionality. So like that, you will be going on from one iteration to the another iteration and giving the incremental output and add the functionalities. And the next is the adaptive life cycle, or it is also called as the change driven or agile method. So, where the changes are more, where you identify more changes, so that you call as the agile methods. So, in agile methods, there are 2 things. One is the iteration based, and another one is the flow based agile. So, iteration based, which is a um, each time box, the time is fixed. Okay, so the each time box like requirements analysis, design, build, and test. So that time is fixed. So you decide. So in that, the next iteration, so that also the time is fixed. So it is. So if you decide the first iteration as 2 to 4 weeks, so you fix it as 2 weeks, and the next iteration also will be 2 weeks, and the third iteration. So like that in iteration. So each iteration will be of 2 weeks. So in the 2 weeks, you decide what you're going to do. So what feature that you're going to take care. And after 2 or 3 iterations, so once it gets the functionality, you will be doing the release. And the flow based, so that is also you're fixing the time based on the feature. So how many features that you're taking, and in the WIP limit, so what you're deciding, that is the work in process limit. So how much is the features that you're deciding, you fix the time based on that features. Okay, so if you see, so the first iteration may be 3 weeks, and the second iteration may be a month, and the third iteration may be 3 weeks or something. So like that, you will take the decision on the times based on how many features and functionalities that you're going to add. And the final methodology is the hybrid methodology. So in hybrid methodology, where you will use both the agile as well as the predictive method. So initially you will be doing the agile development work, and for the rollout, you may be following the predictive methodology. Okay. And in other cases, you can do simultaneously predictive as well as agile. And in the third one, if you see, so it is largely predictive approach, and wherever any components you need to use agile, that you will be using the agile methodology. And the last, if you see, so that is mostly agile approach with the predictive framework. So you'll be following the agile approach. So wherever any components that you need to use predictive, so there you'll be using the predictive methods. So the predictive is in IT, they call it as the waterfall methodology. So here, if you see the requirements are done. So after requirements, you go with the design, and after design implementation, verification, like that. So each and everything is managed by a phase gate. So once the phase gate approval is done, so then you move it to the next phase. So once you get the approval for the requirements, then you go to the design phase. And once you get the approval for the design, you go for the implementation. And then you go for the verification. So like that, it is a step-by-step process. And here, you will get the delivery at the end. Okay, so you're getting the release or the product what you have decided based on the requirements, so that you will be getting once you complete the whole process, that is once the verification testing everything is done and it's rolled out, you will get the system or the product. If you see the project management process groups, so the project process groups are 5 different process groups, that is initiation, planning, execution, and closure. So initiation, so in the initiation, you decide about the project and you find out and identify and authorize about the project, that the project is existing, and you can go ahead and do the planning work. So in the planning, you will be doing the defining the various steps that you need to do, define the scope clearly, and finalize the project plan. So once the project plan is finalized, so based on the project plan, you will be doing the execution. And then monitoring and controlling. So in the monitoring and controlling, so you'll be mainly doing the tracking, reviews, all these things that you're doing. So it's not only for the execution, monitoring and controlling. So the monitoring and controlling is there from the initiation till the closure. So wherever the control need to be done during the initial stage, during the planning stage, during the execution stage, and during the controlling stage. So all the different areas that you will be doing the monitoring and the controlling till the closure of the project, of the administrative closure, as well as the financial closure and the project closure, acceptance, everything is done. You will be doing the monitoring and the controlling. Okay, so those are the 5 different process groups. Now, if you see about the performance domain, so the performance domain, so those are mainly that gives the delivering the projects, and it focuses more towards the outcomes than the outputs. So the outputs majorly that enable the outcome, and it's mostly the outcome focused. So for example, if you take up the stakeholder analysis, so how you'll be measuring that. So in that you run the surveys, brainstorming, observing the relationship, interrelationship. So from that, you do the analysis and you get the outcome. So it is basically outcome based and not output based. And then we have the project delivery principles. So the project delivery principles, there are 12 project delivery principles, and they are the set of statements, so which will allow us to decide what and why of the project management. And so these are the principles that was followed by the project practitioners. And these principles are independent of the development approach. And if you see about the other methodologies and frameworks, so till now what we saw is based on the Project Management Institute, that is the PMI's standards. So based on those standards, we saw the introductions of project program and portfolio, and about the project management standards and other things. There are other different standards, methodologies and frameworks. So one is called as a critical chain project management, so which mainly deals with the buffers, the project buffers, speeding buffers, resource buffers. So those things based on that, how to manage the project, so that you're identifying. And then we have the IPMA, International Project Management Associates. So they develop the standards based on the countries, and the benefits relationship management. So which follows 5 different process groups like aligning, consulting, enabling, servicing, and evolving. And Prince 2 is mostly followed in European and UK, European countries and UK. So it's the projects in controlled environment. So wherein it deals with the 7 principles, 7 themes, and 7 processes. So which is mostly outcome based and not output based. So that's about the project management and introduction. So this is the basic curriculum we have. So we cover the project portfolio management and the all basics on critical path method, the different methodologies, business agility, about business agility, value stream management. We also do a sample case study and the basics of project management tools, and the career path. Open for questions. We have just a minute. Anyone have any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, good evening, sir. I have one. I would like you to repeat one slide which was about the project principles. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, the project delivery principles.
Okay, no, just I wanted to have a recap on that. So there, you said there are 12 principles.
Yeah.
Because I could not. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So the 12 different principles are stewardship, team, stakeholders, value, holistic thinking, leadership,
Okay.
tailoring, quality, complexity, opportunities and threats, adaptability and reliance, resilience,
Fine.
and change management. So these are the 12
Change
different
management.
project principles.
So these principles are with respect to all the frameworks or just the PMI?
No, this is just to the PMI.
PMI. Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
So maybe some are be followed by the Prince too. So, but so this is based on PMI. So this they have come up with the new standards. So they have included these things.
Fine. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anyone else?
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Whenever I have practically headed the project, when we try to uh, apply the principles, maybe principles or whatever guidelines as per the theoretical curriculum, right? Obviously, in a practical scenario, it becomes very difficult to uh, im- uh, consider, take into consideration, or manage all of these principles or maybe factors affecting the project actually.
Yeah. So that is quite sure because so everything that whatever is theory cannot be applied fully in the practical scenario. So only so any framework if you see, so they give an option of tailoring. So in the tailoring you decide, so based on what framework will work for a certain project. So you might not apply all the principles or all the domains might not apply everywhere. So in some, based on some environments or based on due to some political environments, the scenario changes. So the framework allows you to tailor the needs. So so you can use some. So in some projects you might not consider there might not be risk at all. So that is very rare cases. So yes, so you're correct. So but since the tailoring is there, so we can make use of what framework will work for the particular environment and political, based on the political situation, so that you can take it.
Correct. Yeah. Thank you. So I think you rightly answered the question actually, and fine. So you need to tailor the some of the requirements as per the
Yes,
project actually.
correct.
Fine. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so okay, let's move to the next session. So the next session is our Agile Basics. Okay. Okay, so the Agile basics. So we'll be seeing just the basics of Agile and little bit on the different frameworks that is there for the Agile scaling methodologies and the Agile methodologies also. So if you see the Agile process, so Agile that was formally introduced in 2001. So wherein the Agile methodology or the process is being developed. So nearly 16 people gathered together in Utah for talking, skiing, and playing other things. So their major outcome was to discuss and find out a better way to execute the projects, majorly IT projects. They decided. So the outcome is they came up with the Agile methodology. So with the Agile manifesto. So Agile methodology is a process. So or we call it as a mindset. So where we follow based on iterations, and so in Scrum we call it as a sprint. So in different iterations, and then you go with the incremental approach. So once a particular set of features is being built, so then you go with the incremental approach. Okay, so once so in the same way, so whoever is new here and whoever attended the project management webinar, so we have discussed the various different project and development life cycle. But here you are going to see only the adaptive life cycle, which is mainly change driven, and most organizations, they are following the iteration based agile. So wherein each time box is the same size. So that is the requirement analysis, design, build, and test. So you fix that particular time box, whether it is 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So iteration, the time period that is considered as 2 to 4 weeks. You need to fix the iteration time as 2 to 4 weeks. So the first iteration, if you're fixing as 3 weeks, the second iteration also is 3 weeks, third iteration also is 3 weeks. So in that 3 weeks, you identify what are the features that you're going to deliver. And through that feature, what are the different user stories that each and every person is going to work on, so that you will be deciding on and that you will be working. So each time box results in a working tested feature. So after the end of the each iteration, so you will decide, you will come up with a tested feature. So now we'll see about the Agile Manifesto. So as we saw earlier, so the 16 people developed the Agile Manifesto. So these are the 4 points. So mainly they came up with. So the first point is individuals and interactions over processes and tools. So whatever is on the right side, it does not mean so you don't have to follow. So you have to follow everything, but you're giving more importance to what is on the left side than the right side. Okay. So in the waterfall or the predictive methodology, you might have given more importance to the process and tools. So whereas in Agile, in the Agile manifesto that says you give importance to the individuals and interactions. That is more importance to the individuals. So whoever the people who are working and what their needs and expectations. So you give more importance to that than the process and tools. That does not mean so you do not follow the process or any tools. So you still follow, but you're giving more importance to this one. And working software over comprehensive documentation. So if anyone representing the IT or software industry, so you may be knowing that the documentation is the main. So any software or the app that you produce, so the customer will be asking for documentation. Yes, documentation is important, but it need not be more elaborate. So you need to be precise. So what is needed so that you put it on the documentation. But the main focus is towards the working software. But if you concentrate more on the documentation and if the software is not working, then it is not going to help out. So working software over comprehensive documentation. Then the third one is customer collaboration over contract negotiations. So customer collaboration, you collaborate with the customers very much. So, and if you see on the predictive methodology, So you will be discussing with the customers when it is needed or during the end of the phase or something. But here you interact with the customer on a day-to-day basis and to find out what they need and what is their expectations. All these things you identify. So here also it does not mean the contract negotiation is not needed. So it is needed, but to a certain extent, but more focused towards the customer collaboration. And the final thing is responding to change over following a plan. Okay, so if you see on the predictive methodology, so if you see so you are preparing the scope, time, cost, everything, and the starting itself. Okay, and the starting itself you are preparing, and based on the plan you are going to execute. So in between any change that comes, so it will be difficult to include there. And in the predictive methodologies and approaches, so what you see is that you will include various different change control board, and it has to go through various different process and approval, and then only the change is getting implemented. But here, so based on how the market scenario segments, everything that is improving and changing, so any changes that is requested, so that you try to include within your iteration, or try to include in the subsequent iterations, so where the change can be added, so the product can compete in the market. So you respond to change over rigidly following a plan. Okay. So that is the Agile Manifesto. Now we'll see little bit small scenario. So one scenario I created, so we can see how it is being offered in traditional and how it is being used in Agile. So I am not, so Agile is mostly towards IT or the software segment, but what I have taken for everyone to understand is just a 3-bedroom house construction. Okay. So family is living in a rental apartment. So it's a 1-bedroom apartment. So they want to build a 3-bedroom house, and they have decided on executing that. So they have planned. So they are designing the full house, and they have prepared the full scope, so that that it has come for 6 months, and they are fixing the time and what is the cost that might have involved. So the budget they have prepared, and then they identified the risk, identified the resources, other procurement options, or what are the other things that they need to identify. So all these things that they identified. So based on what is required for the project, so that everything is done, and started the work. And in actual case, after 2 months or something, the material cost, resource cost increased, and they found out a new design, and they want to include the changes, and simultaneously the scope, time, cost, everything got changed. And overall, the project got delayed by 6 months, and they completed only by after a year. So instead of they planned for 6 months, so they completed only after a year. So that for that extra 6 months, they have paid the rent, and they received the value only after the end of the year, and not after 6 months. So this is a classic example of traditional model, so which is nothing but the predictive or the waterfall methodology. Okay. Now we'll see the same scenario in Agile, so how it is done. Okay, the same 3-bedroom house the family is going to do. So they are in the rental apartment, 1-bedroom apartment. So they want to build a house, so they are going to execute it. So they are doing the planning. So they are analyzing the cost, what they have. So the cost, then they fix the budget, and for that amount, what they have, and so within the time period, so they fixed the time for 2 months. Okay, and they also prepared the high-level plans. The high-level plan is they need a 3-bedroom house. Okay, and the 2 months plan, what they have prepared is 1-bedroom plan, because they are already staying in a 1-bedroom apartment. Now they are going to make ready a 1-bedroom apartment. So they prepared the plan. So based on the available cost and time, then the same, all the other things, whatever you did it in a project. So the same thing, they identified the risk, identified resources, and the other procurement options, everything that they identified. and started the work, executed, and in actuals. So here also, so the common market only, so the material cost. So after 1 month, they found out the material cost, resource cost increased, and they also identified some good design, so they want to include. So the changes also has occurred, and the scope, time, and cost also got changed a little bit. So initial plan, so what they planned for 2 months, so it took one more extra month. So the value what they received was they got 1 bedroom house after 3 months. So what they planned was for 2 months, but they received it for in 3 months. So they saved nearly 9 months of rent. So once this 1 bedroom house is ready, so they moved from the rental to this house, so which they have built, and they saved 9 months of rent. Then they have planned for the plan 2. So where they decided to make it as a 2 bedroom house. With some advances and everything. And then they, so after making it as a 2 bedroom house with some extra features, what they included, they moved for the next plan, next release, and the value what they got is a 3 bedroom house. And then once again they moved planned, and so they planned only for 3 bedroom. Now they are able to build another one, another first floor, and it can be given for rent. So this is a classic example of Agile. So where all the 4 releases are done and the project completed in 1 year. So they got the value for money, as well as the they given it for rent also. Okay, so this about Agile. So the earlier one what we saw, so that follows the rigid plan. Okay, and the output is received at the end. So whereas here you are getting on a periodical basis, so the value for the money. So in predictive, so that is which is also called as the traditional approach, where the project needs, requirements, and constraints are understood, and the plans are developed accordingly. And mainly the plan drives the project. So based on the plan, you will be executing the project. Whereas in the agile approach, so which is also called as the modern approach, so you work collaboratively with the customer, and so whenever there is a change that is happening, so you adjust the change, and you have a proper coordination with the customer and the team. And so mainly the main focus is towards the customer and the team, and they together drive the project forward. So still they plan, so they have a plan, so but it's not a very long or rigid plan. So what is needed? So what can be done? So for that particular thing, so you're preparing the plan and executing it. Okay. And the hybrid is a combination of agile and predictive. So based on different needs, so some projects that may be following a predictive methodology, some projects may be following agile methodology, and some other projects you can do either agile or hybrid. So both approaches that you can follow. So based on organization and based on each and every project within the organization, you can decide which type of approach that you can be followed. So if some organizations, they start implementing agile, so should they fully follow agile? Might not be required. So based on different projects, so you can decide what methodology that you can follow. So it can be predictive, or it can be hybrid, or it can be an agile methodology. So in the traditional triangle, if you see, so earlier also we saw in the project management webinar, so the scope, cost, and schedule are interrelated. So if any one changes, the other one also gets changed. So whereas here, you fix the schedule and the cost, and you concentrate towards the value. So you get a better value or the quality. And so the same thing gets continued for different iterations. So for the next iteration, you fix the schedule and the cost, and you deliver the value. There are various different agile methodologies. So the Scrum is one of the methodology which is very much familiar and mostly being followed. And there are other methodologies like Agile Unified Process, Lean Software Development, Feature-Driven Development, Extreme Programming, and the Disciplined Agile and SAFe. So the Disciplined Agile and SAFe are mostly towards the Agile scaling methodologies or frameworks. So SAFe is but the scaled Agile framework. So we'll see a little bit about the Scrum framework. So in the Scrum framework, so the product owner, so who is a representative of the customer or directly the customer segment. So the product owner, he develops the product backlog. So he has different features. So what is the product that you're going to develop? So you identify different features and you develop the product backlog. And from the product backlog, so you prepare a sprint planning. So for each sprint, so if I'm going to do this sprint for 2 weeks, I am doing a sprint planning and for prepare a sprint backlog for sprint 1. Then for sprint 2, I prepare a sprint backlog. So in this sprint backlog, I decided I'll do 3 features. In sprint 2, I decided 3 features. And in sprint 3, another 2 features. So based on that, so you decide on that, and then for the sprint 1, you're doing the execution. So sprint execution, and on a daily basis, you do the daily scrum. So in the daily scrum, you meet with the team. So the scrum masters, the product owners, and the team. So they meet together and do a daily scrum and find out so what went well. So what are the hindrances that they are facing, and what issues or any risks that are that they have, and so what they are going to do today. So those type of things that they will discuss in the daily scrum. So the daily scrum is just for 15 minutes. So daily, so the team will gather and speak about this one. Okay. So in some organizations, it is called as a stand-up meeting. In some, it is stand-down meeting. So either way you can decide on and you can work. And once the sprint execution gets completed, you will sometimes get a potential shippable product, or you will get a set of features. And based on that, then you do a sprint review. So sprint review, you will be deciding on so what are the different features that is there, and you will see the demo of that particular feature. And once everything is there, then you, so if it is a release, then you send it for release. Otherwise, you make it as a set of features. And in the sprint retrospective, you will decide, review, or as a team, you decide what went well, what didn't go well, and what improvements that you need. So that thing that you will be identifying in the sprint retrospective. So what you identified that, so that you will do the improvement in this next sprint, and that sprint gets continued. Okay. So in the Scrum roles and responsibilities, so a Scrum team comprises of 5 to 11 members. So it comprises of 5 to 11 members, where you have a Scrum Master, a product owner, and the development team. So the development team comprises of developers, testers, and the infrastructure team. So all these things, so whoever is needed, so they will work together, and it's a self-organizing team. So they will pick up what they want to do in that particular day from the sprint backlog, what is being decided. Okay, so the features before broken down as stories, and from that they pick up what they are going to do. And the Scrum Master role is mainly towards finding out how the team is working and how to work with the team and how to move forward. And their main other work is to remove the impediments. So any external factors that is affecting the team. So those things that they will be identifying and they be removing. And the product owner's main goal is to prioritize the product backlog in discussion with the stakeholders. And their other important role is to maximize the value of the product. And the Scrum Master and the product owner will have frequent interaction with the business owners regarding the project budget, product budget, and how to increase the values. So this is about the Scrum roles and responsibilities. So mainly the Scrum roles and responsibility will have 5 to 11 members. Okay, so each sprint. So some projects may have 2 or 3 Scrum team. So each Scrum team will be having 5 to 11 members, and they will be working together on a particular feature. So you see in the different ways how the release methodology is managed. So you same like the product backlog. So you will be doing that in each and every sprint, and before each and every sprint, you do the sprint planning and you do the execution. So that will be continuous. And so after sprint 3, you may be doing a release. So sprint 1 might have given 2 features, sprint 2 might have given 3 features, sprint 3 might have given another 1 feature. So 6 features together will form one release. So in sprint 3, you do a one release. And then further you continue to do it. And in sprint 8, you're doing another release. So the features are getting added to the product. And the sprint 10, you're doing the third release where you get the final product. So that is a incremental release. Okay. And this, the summary of what we saw on the Scrum framework is Scrum. We have roles as product owner, Scrum master, and team. And the Scrum artifacts are product backlog. So the starting you have the product owner having the full product backlog for the overall product. And for each and every sprint, you have the sprint backlog. And the measurement mechanisms for each and every sprint, you do the burn down chart, burn up chart, velocity chart. So all these things you prepare. And on the meetings part, you have the sprint planning meeting before starting off each and every sprint. And then you have the daily meeting on a daily basis for 15 minutes. And then you do the sprint review at the end of the sprint with the system demo. So this is the development hierarchy, what you see. So where you have the epics, features, stories, and tasks. Epics are the high-level product requirements, and that is further broken down into different features. The features are further broken down into stories, and stories are further broken down into tasks. So epics are mostly towards the comes from the initiatives and it's portfolio and program focused, whereas features is related to the product and solution focused. And stories and features together form the release, and stories and tasks are done at the iteration level. So whether to follow a waterfall or a predictive or an agile approach, so it decides based on the certainty or the uncertainty part. So based on the technology and the requirements of part. So if the requirements certainty is known and the technology certainty is known, whatever different technologies can be used, so you can go with the waterfall methodology. When it is getting slightly complicated and the uncertainty is getting high, so then you go with the agile approach. But if it is far from the certainties, you are not sure of what technology or not clear of the requirements, then you do a research and decide and work on waterfall or the agile approach. Okay. And those are the different, we saw the different methodologies for agile, and these are agile scaling methodologies like scaled agile, which is a safe methodology, disciplined agile, large scale scrum. So scaled agile, so which deals with the 3 factors, that is the portfolio level, program level, and the team level. And disciplined agile will have the 7 principles, and large scale scrum works based on 8 different teams, and each team will have 8 team members. Yeah, almost on time, so not do this one. So this is basically to understand how best that you can do. So the first one is so you are trying to convince all the customers, and you're giving support to all the customers. And the second one is also one by one you are giving convincing the customer. But if you concentrate one customer at a time, so then you'll be able to, so because human mind could not do the multitasking. So one customer at a time, if you do, so nearly 70 to 80% of the work can be achieved and you increase the value. So in Agile Basics curriculum, so we cover the Agile, the Scrum framework, Scrum events, and the different Agile tools. We'll see Agile scaling tools, and we'll also discuss about the various career paths that is available. Any questions?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Just can we move on to slide number? There was one slide on the Scrum previous year, not this, previous to this slide.
This one?
One with the block diagrams, blocks. No, it was, I could see earlier down below. Sorry, I could.
This one?
No, that was the artifact slides, artifacts. Yeah, just below, just below.
Yeah, this one. Yeah.
So what are the different artifacts described here?
Yeah, so what is the product?
Can you just, I wanted to possibly if you could define product backlog exactly.
Yeah, product backlog is the overall set of features that you're going to do in that particular particular project. So that a set of features that you're going to do. So the product owner, so he develops all the features that are required for that particular product or the project. So the set of features forms the product backlog. And from that product backlog, you take up some of the features and make it as a sprint backlog so that you're going to do for that particular sprint.
Now, in the case of a particular increment, if a planned work is not completed and the time duration gets completed, the sprint itself gets completed.
Yeah.
So in that case, the pending work has to move on to the next sprint.
Correct.
Is it correct?
Yes, correct. So in this case, you are not going to extend the current sprint. What you're going to do is you're taking the user stories and the features which you are not completed in the current sprint and moving into the next sprint. So you're doing a sprint review.
Case,
yes, please.
Yeah, please continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So in this case, so you're not extending the time. So you're taking the work that has not been completed in this sprint to the next sprint.
Okay, then in that case, will it not affect the planning for the next sprint?
Yeah, it affects. So only you're doing the starting of each and every sprint, you're doing a sprint planning, right? So so there you will be deciding on, so certain things could not be completed in the previous sprint. And in the next sprint, so the previous sprint, why you could not complete, that you will be learning in the sprint review and the sprint retrospective. So that, yeah, so from that you will be learning and that you'll be applying in the next sprint. So in the sprint planning, you will be deciding. So if you're in the sprint one, if you accepted for 20 story points, so that was the main constraint that you identified. So in the next sprint, you will be deciding on 15 story points or something.
Okay. So obviously there is a possibility that we can add more resources to that sprint to cover the extra amount of work.
It might not be, because based on the previous sprint, you might have learned that you could not be able to complete. So, so in predictive, you will be getting the lessons learned at the end of the phase or end of the project. But here, at the end of each and every sprint, quickly you're getting to know what mistake that I'm doing. So because of what reason I was not able to complete, and that you're correcting in the next sprint. So whatever you planned, you'll be able to complete it. So maybe it's in most of the cases in the organizations, first 3 sprints will be, it will be not normal. So everyone will be running here and there and nothing will be normal. So from the 4th sprint only, mostly it will be running normally.
Okay, fine. Yeah. I got your point.
Yeah. So if you have any other questions, just put it in the chat. So we are time for the next session. So we'll be answering at the end, or we'll send you the email with the answers. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. So we'll go to the next session. So next is on the Microsoft project webinar. So it comes with the demo. Yeah, over to Subha.
So, hello everyone, welcome to the webinar on project management tools. So, let's have a look on the Microsoft Project Basics. So, before dealing with the basics, we have some concepts related to the Microsoft project. So, let's look into the concepts. So, first we have enterprise project portfolio management, where we have been managing all the group of projects throughout the organization. So we are prioritizing the projects based on the demands and making it as a group according to the organizational requirements. So managing all the projects to ensure that they meet the budget and the deadlines. So organization usually work towards a common goal and share the resources. So the benefits of this enterprise project portfolio management is the collective portfolio approach for better decision making and identifying and resolving issues in your projects. So make efficient use of the resources throughout the organization and better collaboration with your team. So this is the Microsoft project. So Microsoft project will help the project manager in developing schedules, assigning resources, and tracking progress and managing the budgets. So it helps you to visualize what to be done for the project. So it will schedule your task and resources effectively to meet the budget and deadlines. So it also track your project progress and generate reports. So these are the Microsoft project versions you have. You have Premier solution and cloud-based solutions. So in Premier solution, you have Microsoft Project Standard, Professional, and Project Server. Standard will be a desktop version, and Microsoft Project Professional is along with the desktop feature, it is able to connect with the Project Server. So similarly, you have this cloud-based solutions. Here you have this Project Online Essential, Professional, and Premium versions. So the capabilities of Microsoft Project are, it is having 1 million tasks and resources. So these are the previous versions in your Microsoft projects, and this is the current version, desktop version. So the features that project manager uses in Microsoft projects are the planning and scheduling, your project timeline feature. You have multiple views in your Microsoft project and resource management, budget analysis, portfolio management, and reporting. So these are the features that project manager uses. The main feature the Microsoft project is having is work breakdown structure, critical path method, your resource leveling, tracking, earned value analysis, and interface with your team. So with this feature, the project manager can make better decisions and control your projects. So why there is a need of project planning? So it gives you a clear picture of what to be done in the project, so team have better understanding. So during the planning stage, we can identify the risk and other issues, and according to that, we can plan about the risk issues and risk management also. So it serves as a guide to execute the plan. So these are the sample screenshots in which your Microsoft project will have. So this is the summary schedule where you have only the summaries and the start date and finish date of each and every summaries. So here we'll be having the milestone schedules. So here you have milestones listed, and along with that, you have a start date and finish date for all your milestones. So this is the resources available to complete your project. So here you have the total schedule along with the budget. So along this is the tabular form, and the same information you can view it in a graphical format too. So this is your cash flow, planned cash flow report, and this is the tracking report. So here you can track your status of your projects. So this is the earned value analysis table. So this can be viewed in a graphical format too. So let's move on to the Microsoft project demo. So this is the Microsoft project window. So wherein you have all that tasks here, and this is the Gantt chart where you can visually represent your task. So here you can include any number of tasks and the duration and the logical relationship between your activities, tasks. So here, for example, I'm including an activity. Suppose you want to make it as
Subha, you're not able to see your screen.
okay. So let's do.
Still, we could not see.
Yes, sir, I'm looking. Can you able to see now, sir?
No, still is showing blank. Yes, now I can see.
So this is your Microsoft project window. So here you'll be having the task, the duration, and your sequence of your task. So this is the Gantt chart. So wherein you'll be having the visual representation of your task. So suppose if you need to enter any task, you can type in your task name, your duration, and if you want to link, you can use so linking activities. So after linking activities, you can go for auto schedule. So which gives you the Microsoft project will automatically schedule your projects. So it will give you the total float, free float, and early start, late start, everything related to the schedule. So here, you can able to see your critical task and non-critical task related to your project. So in the table format also, I can able to see what is your late start, late finish, your free slack and total slack of your project. So this is scheduling of your activities. So next we'll be having the timeline view. So timeline view is nothing but if you want to emphasize a particular activity or highlight some of the activities, so you can do it using this timeline view. So you can right click the activity and you can go for add to timeline. So this will add your task to the timeline and it will highlight your task. So you can use this timeline to copy it to any other presentation, or you can present it to your meeting, or you can take a print. So this is the use of timeline view. And then you will be having this work breakdown structure. So work breakdown structure is dividing your project into a few deliverables, so more manageable deliverables. So for each and every deliverable, you can include activities. So here in Microsoft Project, you can do it with the help of this indent and outdent buttons. So you can select the activities to be indented or outdented according to the project requirement. So this structure of the work breakdown structure will be formed here. So other than this, this view, you have this network diagram view wherein all your tasks are represented as nodes here. So and the connections also shown here. So here you can able to customize each and every nodes, and the information you want to share, you can customize here. So other one view is your calendar view. So you can here the tasks are displayed in a calendar format. So here also you can make use of this view. So this is the scheduling of the project. And then we'll be moving on to the resources. So here we have the resource sheet. So resource sheet will compromise all the resources in your projects. So here you have to define what are the resources required to complete your project. So here I have my list of resources. So resources type are having three types: work, material, and cost. So all your labor and non-labor resources will come under work type, and materials will come under material type, and cost related resources. So if it is a material, you have to provide the unit here, in which unit we are going to measure the material. So according to this unit, you have to provide the rate here. So for the labor and non-labor resources, you have to provide the standard rate per hour or per day that is based on the requirements. And if there is any overtime raised and cost per use, so you can provide it here, and the maximum availability too. So for the cost type of resources, you cannot provide any information here. Only at the time of assignment, you can provide the information. So these are the defining resources to your project. And then you'll be assigning these resources to your project task. So you'll be going for the Gantt chart. You have to select each and every activity. So you can include this details task form. So for each and every task, you can select what are the resources going to do your activity task. So here you'll be having what is the budgeted work, how much the work it is going to work in your project. So here you can assign for each and every task. So after assigning all these resources, so here you'll be having this cost related information for the particular task, and it is rolled up to the summary level, and this rolled up to the project level. So here you'll be having all your total project cost. So after assigning these resources, we can make some resource analysis using this resource usage view. So this is the allocation of your resources on a time scaled format in a spreadsheet. So here you can able to see on in particular day what are the resources available and what is the task it is included and how much they are working. So this is the spreadsheet form, and the same thing you can view it as a graphical format too. So here you'll be having this graph for each and every resources in your project. So here you'll be having the maximum limit of your resource. So if your resource is allocated above the maximum limit, you'll be having this red color bars, that is over allocation. So you can view all the resources like this. So for the cost related resources, you don't have any graphs. Only for the labor, non-labor, and the material resources, you have this over allocation graphs. So using this spreadsheet and graph, you can make various resource analysis and you can make a decision on the resource leveling. So resource can be leveled according to the project requirement. So this is regarding the schedule of your project, planning of your project. So you have planned your total duration, you have got your start and finish date of the project and the total cost of your project. So next we'll be moving on to the tracking, that is project execution. So project execution. So before the project execution, we have to save our project plan. So we have to save our project plan as your baseline, and then we have to set the status date, up to which date you are going to update your project. So after setting the status date, you can update the project. So select your task, and then here you have all the details. So here you can give your actual start date, actual finish date, and what is the percentage of completion of your task. So everything you can provide it here. And using this variance table, you can able to find out what is the variances in your schedule. Suppose if I am starting with the delay in the project, so here it will show you the variance as 1 day. Suppose if I am starting as 2 days delay in your projects, so it will here show you the variances. Suppose if you want to mark the completion of your project, so here you can mark your completion of the project. So according to the changes you are providing here, the Gantt chart will show you the result of the project execution. So this is regarding the tracking. So after tracking your project, you will be having this EVA. So EVA is earned value analysis. So here you have metrics to calculate your project performances. So planned BCWS and BCWP, and then schedule variance and cost variance, schedule performance index and cost performance index. So these metrics are used to analyze the project performances. So here the SPI and CPI will show you whether your project is on schedule or behind the schedule. The CPI will show you whether you are over the budget or under the budget. So using this EVA table, you can do various analysis of your project based on the project performance, and you can make better decisions regarding the control of your project. So this is tracking and EVA regarding your project, and then we'll have the concept of multiple projects. So multiple project concept is sharing the resources among your projects. So here we have only the resources listed here. So you can save this file as your resource pool. So this resource pool can be shared to any number of projects. So if I take project 1, so here you can see your see my resources shared in this project. The same resources can be shared in this project also. So now you can assign these resources to your project task, and you can see the availability of the task. So this is regarding the multiple resources, multiple projects. And then suppose if you want to insert another project into your own project, you can do it using this sub project. So suppose if your part of your project is within the contractor, and you have to include that particular project into your project, you can use this sub project feature. So here you can simply click and use this to include it in your project. So this is the concept of sub projects. So along with these other features, we have customization. So we can able to customize the columns, filters and graphs, everything. So here we have reports. So in reports, we have this built-in reports here. So here in reports, we have this built-in reports. This is the cash flow report of your project. So wherein you have all the cost related details here. And then here you'll be going for the resource related report. So these are the built-in reports here. And if you want to customize your reports, you can able to customize the reports. So this is the project overview report. So this will show you the status of your project along with the task completions. So other than this, you have this visual reports wherein here also you'll be having this built-in reports. You can simply click and view it in an Excel format. So you can make changes in the Excel and you can save it as a separate file there. So this is the reports in Microsoft Projects. So other than this, we'll be having the customization. You can able to customize the reports, your columns, your filters, everything. And after customization, you can have this import and export. You can export or import this Microsoft project file to various other formats. So these are the features available in Microsoft Project. So now let's move on to the presentation. So here you have this standard PPM view. This is the Microsoft Project Server view, where you have this project with the Gantt chart and the risk management view. And here you have the resources allocated in your project. So this is the graphical view. And this is the dashboard view of your project. So all the project related information in a single page. So this is the dashboard view. So this is our curriculum of the courses in Microsoft Project. So all the features we have seen now, we have included in this curriculum here. So this is regarding the Microsoft Project features and concepts. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Yeah, if anyone have any questions, you can unmute and you can ask the questions or put it in the chat window, so we'll be able to answer. We have 3 more minutes for the next session, so if you have any questions, you can raise it. Okay, so there are no questions from anyone on Microsoft projects. So let's go ahead and get started with the Primavera webinar presentation.
So welcome to the Oracle Primavera Project Management webinar. So here, let's have a look on the Primavera concepts and futures. So this is enterprise project management. So here we have enterprise-wide planning and control solution, which enables you to stay within the budget and meet deadlines by effectively managing your scheduled resources and costs. So in Primavera, the projects are stored in a centralized database, and we can access it using the client-server technology and the web also. So the benefits of enterprise project management is it enables your organization to manage demands based on the stakeholder needs and assign priority to the project. So this process has been accepted by the stakeholders in that organization. So when prioritizing the project, it takes up all the assessment criteria into consideration. So it prevents your duplication of projects and resources also. So it has the integrated framework which permits the performance monitoring of the projects throughout the project level and the portfolio level also. So next is we have the capabilities of enterprise portfolio project management. It has the planning and scheduling, so team collaboration and workflow among your projects. So you can do better decisions based on the project resource and cost information management. So P6 can able to handle large scale and multifaceted projects. So it is capable of handling 1 lakh of activities. So it will deliver your programs projects on the time and within the budget. So it is having centralized resource management where resources are stored in a centralized location. So along with our project planning and management, we have risk management, threshold management, and issue management. So the tracking feature is enabled along with your projects. You can track your programs also. So the versions available in Primavera Project Management is here you have P6 Professional for Enterprise Portfolio Project Management. This is a web application and the main interface for all the project management functionality. And then here you have P6 Professional. This is the desktop version for doing your project management and portfolio management. So along with that, you have the progress reporter. So this is the timesheet where you can where your team members can record their working hours and send it to the project manager for approval. So and Primavera P6 visualizer. So this is integrated along with the P6 professional. So here you can create, modify and manage your timescale logic diagrams and Gantt charts too. So this P6 analytics is mainly used for reporting tool, which includes dashboard features also. So this Primavera project management is having basic concepts such as enterprise project structure and organization basics breakdown structure. So first we'll see about enterprise project structure. It is a hierarchy used to organize your projects. So it will roll up and summarize your data across the projects, and we can view resource allocation across your project. So you can create an enterprise structure and you can create projects within that each elements. So next is we'll be having this organizational breakdown structure. So this organizational breakdown structure is hierarchy of the resources working in your organization. It is from the top level to the project level. You can view it here. So this is the basic structure of Primavera project management. So within each enterprise project structure, you'll be having various elements, EPS elements. So within each EPS elements, you have different projects. And within the projects, you'll be having the activities, WBS, and risk documents, issues, etc. So this OPS, organizational breakdown structure, will be assigned to the EPS and also to all the levels in your Primavera. So even you can assign it to the projects, activities, work breakdown structure, and risk, everything. So this OBS is the main thing. We can create users and give the security and permissions to access the Primavera. So Based on the OBS, we can create users and give the permissions to access the Primavera to them. So based on the structure, there are two types of data in Primavera. You have enterprise data and project data. So enterprise data, you have this global structure. So where whatever data is included in the enterprise, all the projects will be able to access this enterprise data. So here you have this examples like enterprise project structure, project code, resource code, and resources cost account. So all these data is in a centralized location where all your projects can access these data. But you have this project data here. You have all the data related only to the specific project. So wherein you can able to create for each and every project. So you can create work breakdown structure, activities, your expenses, risk. So all these data you have to create for each and every project. So this is the project specific data. So these are the advanced features related to Primavera Enterprise Project Portfolio Management. So here you have the topics here. So now we'll move on to the demo of Project Primavera Management.
Yes, we can see the screen.
Okay. So this is the Primavera project management window. So this is your default project window. So here your projects are organized in an enterprise project structure. So you have to first create your enterprise project structure according to your organizational requirement here. And then you have to create your organizational breakdown structure here. So based on the organization resources, you can create your organizational breakdown structure here. So after this, you'll be having this type of structure in your project window. So wherein each EPS elements, you can see the project listed here. So you can create any number of projects within the EPS nodes and elements. So this is the project details window where you have all the related project informations here, your project ID, name, and dates, project start date, and if there is any finish date, you can give it here. And if there is any calendar you have to assign it to your project, you can assign it here. So all the general details you'll be providing it in the project details window. So after this, you'll be opening the projects. So here you'll be having your activities window. So here you'll have your activities listed and then the Gantt chart. So this is the visual representation of your activities here. So here you can create any number of activities with the duration and the logical relationships. So after, so for example, if I am creating some activities, so you can change your duration here. And if you want to link it with other activities, you can link. So like this, you have to create your activities, duration, and your logical relationship. And then you have to go for tools schedule. So this schedule will, Primavera will automatically schedule your project, and it will automatically create your critical activities and non-critical activities and the critical path method too. So here you can use this log file where automatically your schedule reports are provided in this particular file. You can find it in your system in this path. So when you schedule, the Primavera will automatically schedule your activities and give you a schedule. So other than this, this is the schedule view, and here you will be having this network diagram view. Here you will be having the activities represented as nodes and the relationship between your activities. So here you'll be having the trace logic view. So wherein the connections can be seen easily regarding your activities. So this is the activity details window. So you have to provide all the activity details here. Suppose if you want to assign any particular calendar for only one activity, you can provide it here. So this is the scheduling part. So after a tool schedule, you'll be getting the total duration of the project, your start date and finish date. So it will also give you the total float, which defines the critical activities in your project. So next we'll be going for the WBS. So basically you can create, this is the default structure. You can create only the activities. So after this, you will be having this project WBS. So wherein you can create your work breakdown structures here. So what are the levels in your projects? So these are my levels in my project. So here you can create any number of levels. So you can use this indent and outed arrows to structure your WBS. And then after creating this work breakdown structure, you come to the activity. Here you can assign your work breakdown structure. So for each and every activity, in which particular WBS element it is coming, you can assign it directly. So after assigning this, you can go for a group and sort. You can select your WBS, and then you can see your work breakdown structure related to your project. So within each work breakdown element, you can see your activities. So this is the work breakdown structure. So this is the scheduling projects. So next we'll be going for the resources. Here resources is stored in a centralized location. So all the resources will be accessed throughout the projects in your organization. So if you create any resource also, it can be accessed by all the projects. So here you can create resource like this. So in the resource details window, you can provide all the informations here, your resource ID, name, and here you have resource types. Three types are there: labor, non-labor, and material. Labor is manpower resources, non-labor is machinery resources, and for the material, you can select which unit of measure you're going to use for the particular material. So if you want to create and assign any particular calendar for this particular resource, you can do it here. And then you can provide the maximum available working time for the resource and then the working rate for the project for the resource. So here you have roles. So Primavera is having a feature of roles. So suppose if your organization doesn't have a particular resource like a construction engineer or a project engineer, so you doesn't have a particular resource, you can create a role like this. You can create a role like this, and you can wait for the organization to recruit the resources. After recruiting the resources, you can assign from this window. So here you can assign this particular resource as your construction engineer. So you can do both. You can create roles and assign resources, or also if you create resources and then you can assign your roles here. So both vice versa, you can do it here. So this is regarding your roles and resources. So you can create any number of resources and roles here. And then moving on to the activity. So here you have to assign resources to your activities. So for each activity, you can come to the activity details window. So in resource tab, you can able to see the add resource button. So this will display all your resources in the organization. So whichever resources you want, you can able to assign it here. So how many hours or day the particular resource is working in your project, you can provide it here. So after defining this, you'll be getting the total cost of your project. So this is regarding the resources assigning. So after assigning your resources, you'll be having this resource usage profile. So resource usage profile will show you the what is the maximum availability of resources you have and whether it is over allocated or not. So in graphical format, you can able to see these resources. So you have this resource usage spreadsheet. So wherein the same information you can view it in a spreadsheet format. So in Primavera, we have two types of data. One is project data and other is enterprise data. So first we'll see about the project data. So in project data, along with the activities and WBS, you have this expenses. So in expenses, suppose expenses is extra cost or add-on cost to your projects. So if you want to assign any expenses to your particular activity, so limit your expense like this. So you can provide your expense details here. So the expense maybe your transport expenses, travel expenses, setup cost or administration cost. So all this will come under the expenses. So here you will be having this cost related details where you have provide the budgeted cost of your expenses. So after this we have work products and documents. Suppose if you want to assign any document to your activity, you can do it here. So you can add any document related to your project, any RFQ or contractor agreement or any travel document. So anything you can assign it here. So here you can assign your file from the system and then you can assign it to your any activity. So you can be able to provide the description here. So this is the work products and documents. And then you have risk. So while planning the project itself, we can able to identify the risk in our project. So those risks we can able to enter it here. Suppose you have any risk related to your project, you can create it here and you can provide all the details in the risk detail window. So here we can have the risk owner, who's the owner of your risk, and what is the impact it is going to provide, and which activity it is we are going to assign, and the description, causes, effects. So everything you can define it here. So in impact, we can also able to give the pre-response and post-response. So what is the probability that it is going to occur in your particular project, and what is the probability it is going to affect your schedule, cost. So all the information you can give it here, and what is the response type and the response description also you can provide it here. So you can able to list out all the risk available in your project here. So similarly, you can also able to list out the risk issues and thresholds in your projects. So the same way you can able to do for the issues and thresholds. So next we'll be having this enterprise data. So enterprise data, already we have seen about resources and roles. So those are our enterprise data. So here we'll be having this activity codes. So here we'll be having this activity code. So activity code is organizing your activities based on the user defined attribute. Suppose if I want to organize my activity based on the priority or on the budget, you can define it here. So here you can add any number of activity codes. So here you can able to add any activity codes, like if you like a budget structure, you can add it here and you can provide the values there. So after adding your activity codes, you'll be moving on to the activity window. So here you have a codes tab in the activity window, details window. So there you have to assign activity code to your activities. So here you'll be having this high, medium or low. So for each and every activity, you can select what type of priority it is having. So after this assignment, we will be going for the grouping and sorting. So here you can able to view what is the high priority activities, medium priority activities, and the low priority activities in your project. So based on our requirement, we can able to create the activity codes and assign it to the activities, and you can view it in this activity code structure. So the same thing will goes for project code and resource code. So project code is for organizing your projects and resource code for organizing your resources. So this is the planning and scheduling of your projects. So next we'll be moving on to the tracking part. So next we'll be moving on to the tracking part. So before tracking the project, we have to save the project. We have to save the project plan as your baseline. So after saving the project baseline, we'll be tracking the project. So here we can use this progress spotlight. So it will highlight what are the activities to be updated. So you can select a particular date here. So up to which date you have to update your project. So I'm selecting 25th August. So select your activity and then go for the status tab, and then you can able to provide all the related information here, whether it is started or finished and what is the percentage of completion. If there is delay in the start, you can also provide it here. And if you want to give the percentage of completion, so all the execute actual data, you have to provide it here. So next we'll be going on the tools schedule. Here you'll be selecting your data date as the schedule. So after this, can able to see the results in your Gantt chart. So here you can able to see the results in your Gantt chart. So based on this tracking feature, based on this tracking feature, you have this earned value analysis. So this earned value analysis will have metrics, so which will show the project performances of your project. So here you have this schedule variance, cost variance, and budget completion, estimated completion, and variance and completion. So all these data are used to analyze your project performance based on the status you have executed now. So after this, the tracking feature is also enabled for the program level. So when you go for enterprise tracking, so here when you select a particular EPS level, you can able to view what are the projects available here, and you can able to view what is the planned start and finish of the particular project, whether it is started or not, and percentage of completion. And in the bottom, you can able to see the cost related information in the histograms. So you can now able to view customize these views, and you can use it efficiently. So this is tracking your projects and as well as tracking your programs also. So next we'll be moving for the reports. So here in Primavera, we'll be having all the templates in here. So simply we can select a report, I can directly run the report. So you'll be having the report like this. So whichever report you want, you can directly run the report to your printer. So based on the requirement, you can able to customize these reports based on the templates provided here. So after the reports, we have this visualizer. The visualizer is also included in Primavera. So visualizer is three parts here. One is Gantt, timescale logic diagram, and schedule comparison. So first we'll see about the Gantt. Suppose here you have to select your project. Name it. So here you can able to view the Gantt chart of your project activities. So here you'll be having your activities and the Gantt chart without the logical relationship in a time scaled format. So you can use these options to customize your Gantt chart, and then you can directly print this layout. So next you'll be having this time scale logic diagram. So here also you have to select a particular project. Name it. And then here you'll be having only the bars, activity bars in your layout. So here also you can have this customization option. So you can able to customize according to your requirement, and then you can draw it. So here we'll be having only the bars, not the activities list. And then we have this schedule comparison report. So here so you can name it. So you can select two projects to compare. Two projects, or you can compare your baselines also here. Project with your baseline. So any number or any project you can select here, and then you can go for go to add, and then we'll be having this save and draw. So here it will provide the differences report according to the project you have selected. So here you'll be having this options. So based on the options, you can able to customize your requirements. So what are the things you need to add in this report? So you can select this, and then you can save and draw. So this is about the visualizer. So these are the features and concepts available in Primavera. So now let's move on to the presentation. So here, this is the Primavera 6 Enterprise Portfolio Project Management view. So this is the view wherein you have your activities and the Gantt chart. And this is your resource allocations view. So this is your portfolio view where you have your projects and graphical reports regarding your projects. So this is the dashboard view where you have all the project related information in a single page. So this is the portfolio Gantt view along with your Gantt chart. So how your resources are spread across the time scale. So these are the various other reports you have in EPPM version. And this is the risk management window and the other details. So these are our curriculum of Primavera. So based on the features that we have shown now. So CAPPM is doing certain services and solutions here, such as advisory services, professional services, and business agility transformation services, implementation services, and we are also providing training and development services. So along with the services, we have this workshops also. Workshops on certification, PMI certification, SAFE certification, and we have this best practices workshop on PMI and PPM technology. So this is our website. You can you can use this website to see the details regarding our organization. So thank you for your valuable time for the webinar. So if you have any questions, please let me know.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good evening, madam.
Please.
I have one question for this enterprise portfolio project management.
Okay.
Normally, for this, when we use the Primavera tool, it is easier to manage at an enterprise level, right?
Yes.
Where there is a professionally responsibilities assigned to the employees. But like in the case of where there is a project manager, how can he manage the complete project over this using this tool?
The project manager will be allocated a particular project. So he can able to access only the particular project, and he can able to control the team members. So based on the access and permissions, it is provided there.
Okay. So the project manager does his inputs. He provides his inputs, and the rest project like Primavera or maybe MS project is done by the multiple team members, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, fine.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
the team members can access their set of information, and the project manager at the overall level, so he or she can access the high level project information. And team members also can update using the task or the timesheet options, timesheets in a Microsoft project, and progress reporter in Primavera. So either through that they can give the update, and once it's approved, that will be updated in the plan. So the project manager can go ahead and approve, then it can be updated in the project plan.
Fine, sir. Just a small question to that. Normally, when these projects are very tightly scheduled, but very with a strict timelines, in that case, if the complete information is not updated on with one particular tool, maybe Project Primavera or maybe MSP, at that time, how does this tool help actually? In this case of in this scenario?
No, so that any tool could not help out, because the basic information, so if we are implemented any tool, so that then we need to feed the information, because that type of intelligence is not still added in our products. So it is our responsibility as project managers and team members. We need to give the information, then only we'll be able to analyze. Otherwise, just having it, we could not do it. So that is.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
But only question is, I think these tools are more versatile when working on a very large scale projects. Uh, uh, is it true?
No,
Where
not fully true. So that so for example, Microsoft project at any point, any level, you can make use of that for this project. So even for a small project or medium projects, and Primavera mostly it's used in medium and big projects.
large scale. Okay, ठीक. Thank you.
Any other questions? We will cross the time. So if you have any questions, we'll take any one final question and then we'll close. And also we have shared our feedback from the chat. So if you can fill out and submit, so that will be helpful for us.
Sir, we shall be getting the recording of this session.
Yes, we will be sharing the recording in another 24 to 48 hours. So once it's ready, so we'll be sharing that.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, so if there are no questions, then today. So thank you so much for joining in. So thank you, everyone. Have a nice evening. Yeah. Okay, bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, madam. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir.